perfume experience will be. That's the thing about relationships. You got a relationship with God. It's not a type of work thing where you do this, and that, and then you'll have had your experience. No. With your kids, with your husbands, with your wives, you don't have some kind of set prescription bottle of love, do you? Especially when it's spontaneous. I don't know what it's going to be. It can be something so simple as a husband saying to his wife, I'm not going to play golf. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is an example. Husband saying, I don't want to get shot today. Husband saying to his wife, all right, I love to play golf. I love to play golf every Saturday morning, but I know you want me home. I really know that means a lot to you. I'm not going to play golf on Saturday morning. It might be adopting a child. It might be being a foster parent. It might just be saying, I'm going to come to Bible class on Sundays. Or I'm going to start Bible class. I don't know what it is. It may be something huge. It may be something minor. But you will know what it is when God puts it on your heart, and you'll just say, this is the right thing to do. Next thing, let's go on to continue to talk about this kind of a spontaneous gift and demonstration of gratitude. She wasn't worried about the result. It is kind of interesting. 5 minutes and it was all over. It wasn't as though, this perfume kept coming out and out. She dumped it out on his feet. She mopped it up, and it was all over. And she didn't say, well, now what are the long-term objectives of this whole thing? She was in the presence of God. And all she said is at this very moment, I want to show my God that I will give him my very best. I want to ask you something. If you were in the visible presence of God, I'm not saying, the spiritual presence. I mean, if you could see him. Think about that. This is God we're talking about. Not just a big, strong God. We're talking about God. No beginning, no end. Totally unlimited in everything that he can do. You're in his presence. Are you going to worry about tomorrow? Are you going to worry about money at this moment? You aren't going to. I don't think so. I think there's only going to be one issue that we're going to be concerned about, and that is, what does he think of me? Now, this text is not telling us to be irresponsible and foolish. It is saying, though, when God speaks to you, love him extravagantly, he's going to love you extravagantly in a measure that you will never be able to comprehend or accept all the blessing. The last thing is the ripple effect of this kind of a show of gratitude to the Lord. John says, that the fragrance, it just went through the whole house. Now, I don't think that Mary intended this perfume to be a $20,000 blade stick. But it did go throughout the house. It didn't just affect Jesus, although that was the primary concern. But that's what happens. When you love Jesus, when you give of yourself to him, it just goes on and on and on. You're putting a ripple in God's ocean, and he will use what you have done. Now, this is pretty idealistic stuff, isn't it? This isn't what we call nitty-gritty, the real world. This is what God is calling us to do, but it's idealistic. Fortunately, we have someone to bring us down to earth, someone to have some common sense here, in the form of Judas. What does Judas do? He looks at this and he says, hey, come on, guys, this is ridiculous here. This money should have been sold, and it should have been used for the poor. Now, finally, somebody's talking straight. Now, Judas would have done it right. He would have taken it to Jerusalem, big city, right? Got the better price. He probably would have gotten $25,000. Then he would have gone and he would have gotten a diversified portfolio that would be recession-proof and depression-proof. 6% in the bad days, 10% in the good days, and then he would have taken the interest earnings and each year given them to a worthy charity. You know, I wrote that paragraph and I stopped typing and I read it over and I said, that's pretty good thinking there. And it is good thinking. But what happens when common sense comes into conflict with a clear call from God? What did Jesus say about Judas's common sense? Judas, he didn't want that to happen because if they had sold it, he could have gotten a little bit of the money. And isn't that the way common sense so often is? Something happens that we know what God wants us to do. We know very clearly what He wants us to do, but then common sense comes in, right? And it says, oh, before you do that, don't jump, because if you jump and take that risk and walk by faith, you aren't going to be able to change it. And then our common sense says, oh, that's why you want to think about it, right? Let's sleep on it. And we sleep on it, and we wake up the next morning, and oh, yeah, you know, that's maybe not the best idea. Better sleep on it one more night, and by the end of the week, we forget about what God was saying completely. And that opportunity to serve Him is gone. And why? Common sense what? Common sense doesn't want to take any risks, does it? Doesn't want to take any risks. Wants to maintain the comfortable status quo. Now there's also the effect of common sense of other people. And you will find this, that when you want to do something for the Lord, when you know that this is something that you should do, and you know, they're going to say, oh, I don't know. You know, let somebody else do it. Or, you know, you're getting a little fanatical here. And it kind of takes the steam off. Maybe they're even intimidated by what God is going to do through you. Again, I'm not saying that God wants us to be irresponsible. I'm sure that somebody's going to go home, or probably a lot of people go home today and say, yeah. You know, that preacher talk, sell everything, you know, and God's going to rain down food every day, and it's going to be delivered at your door. Your clothes are going to come to your door. It's all going to come miraculous. And, you know, okay, well, that's all is going to happen. But if one person here goes home today and loves God extravagantly, that will make up for 100,000 misinterpretations. Because God does incredible things through one person who loves extravagance. Jesus responds about priorities to Mary, to Judas. It's kind of interesting. He just says, leave her alone. Leave her alone. This was meant to be. This was meant to prepare me for my burial. What Mary was doing was she was worshiping God. And this is the fundamental part of loving God extravagantly. When you worship God, you are putting Him first in your life. That's what she was doing. Whether you come to church or you worship Him in your work, or you worship Him by dedicating Him in your family life, whatever it is, worship is putting Him in the first place of your life. And that's the beginning. If that's not a part of our life, if worship is not a part of our life, it's like pounding a round peg into a square opening. It just doesn't work because God didn't create us that way. I did something that I always say I'm never going to do again and again this last Monday. You know, what is he going to confess to today? No, I wouldn't tell you anything bad. I do this stupid thing. I try to use our pliers as a hammer. And I never have a hammer. And it's the most stupid thing. So I had this bolt that was rusted into this pipe, and I was trying to get it out. And I didn't have the hammer, too lazy to go and get the hammer, and you know, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I hurt my hand. I almost